What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Filecoin today. The purpose of this video is to give a brief analysis into what I see Filecoin doing between now and the coming days, weeks, and even by the end of this cycle. And then the other part of this video, the intention is to hurt your feelings softly, gently, but to let you know the ugly truth about Filecoin. So if that sounds good to you, hit the like button, subscribe, and let's get into it. The ugly truth will be revealed at the end. And the ugly truth is not that ugly. Let me just say first and foremost that I think anybody putting their money into Filecoin right now will make money as the cycle ends. But anybody putting money into Filecoin here and expecting new all-time highs, you're going to be sourly disappointed, okay? But we'll get into that. Let's talk about the short-term stuff for now, because right now you're pumping, smile, everything's green, it's great. You're down 16% today, but that's okay. I mean, hell, Zcash and Dash are down over 20% today. You pumped harder than both of them yesterday, and you're down less than they are. That's awesome. You're actually showing some strength here. A lot of volume came in. We look at this on a weekly time frame on Coinbase here. That is the most volume on a weekly basis that you've ever seen in your life. Crazy, stupendous. Serious acquisition going on here, you guys. Serious acquisition. And yes, you have seen lower lows. Yes, that does suck. You've seen new all-time lows, and you've been around since 2017. It's pretty sad. That's discouraging. Typically, coins like this that see new lows in the midst of a bull market, let alone, right? We see new all-time lows. You've been around for multiple cycles. Typically, that's a death wish. But something happened here, right? Something happened here. And I think that there's probably some major partnerships and collaborations probably shifting within the infrastructure of the team building this and developing this project that are going to send this thing to higher prices, that deeper valuations than it's ever seen before. But I want to get into the short-term stuff. Let's talk about where it's going to go in the short term. Then we can talk about the long term, okay? 1 hour time frame here. So clearly we had a lot of volume come in. All this volume died off here, and coincidentally that happened on Saturday when the weekend starts. Typically with weekends we do get a little bit of stagnation. So the fact that we're pulling back here on a Saturday, I'm not worried about it, man. 200% pump, that's nice. You've probably got more to go. I doubt that you stop here. I very much do expect you to continue higher. You've got lower lows in your RSI while maintaining higher lows in your price. It's hidden bullish divergence. Just picture it like this, right? Here you are in your RSI. The last time you were down here, you were at this level in price. Now you're at that exact same level in the RSI, and you haven't done anything. You just cooled off. You just moved sideways. That's the best, man. You're literally cooling off. You're literally cooling off as you're building in price. It's very bullish behavior. And the stochastics are at an area to bounce. The RSI, I mean, it could bounce here. If we're being fair, you're in a downtrend, but you're also in an uptrend, aren't you? You look at this here, dating back to this, you've got these higher lows coming in line, and maybe I don't have that drawn the best, but something like this. It's pretty perfect right here. You're right at that area. You're right at the 42. I mean, it's a perfect zone to bounce. You typically do actually bounce right from this zone, even without this trend line here, right? So I wouldn't be surprised at all if Filecoin was finding support here. I actually do want to see from a low to a high, are you at your 236 or 382 retracement? You're just below. So with that being said, with everything that I just said still being true, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, it's completely possible that from here, $2.80, we could drop down to 250. Okay, it's very common in a powerful move like this to pull back and bounce right off the 382, right off of it. So whenever I say 255 is a target, I mean within a cent of a difference, like right there. It's also common enough to wick a little bit below. So if we do go, if we go to like 240, 245, whatever, who cares? It's not a break below this line, okay? It's just a wick. But I do think that we go a little bit lower. It's very uncommon to break below the 236 in this fashion and then not see the 382, but it could happen. Again, there's signs of readiness to bounce on the RSI and the stochastics, but the MACD also, could allow for you to come down, bounce off the zero. That's pretty typical of the MACD there. So maybe we do come down just a little bit lower in the price. I'm calling for that right now. We're at $2.80. This could be the low, could be being the keywords, but I think we'll go to $2.55. That's what I think that we're going to do. Somewhere right around there, and then we'll bounce, We'll probably do that because it is the weekend. We'll probably do that between today and tomorrow, and then should be recovering. Filecoin does have more to go. Again, not financial advice, not a financial advisor. I don't care if you bought the top. You've got more growth immediately to consider. Probably substantial growth immediately to consider, but we'll get into that, okay? We're building up here. 4 hour time frame. Looking at the RSI, you got overbought nice and deep like. Good to see. Now you're back down out of the overbought zone at the 60. Perfect area to bounce. Perfect area. Like literally saying the same thing we were just saying. Maybe you go a little bit lower, but you're probably going to bounce here. I wouldn't be surprised if the low came in on a 4 hour time frame. We had a wick to the downside, and then we closed up with like a solid wick down there. You know what I mean? Something like that's probably what's going to happen over the next 24 hours. We're going to see some results there. If we don't bounce at the 60 on the RSI, that's fine. Bounce at the 50. If we don't bounce there, bounce somewhere in between. It doesn't have to be any of these areas. Bounce here, whatever. It doesn't have to be any of those areas, but you're definitely showing signs of readiness to move higher there. Stochastics are bullish overall. Typically, you don't bounce right here, though. You would expect to go to the 50 and then bounce there, right? You bounce right at the 50 here, just below it there, right? Found resistance here just above the 50. So you probably do go a little bit lower with the stochastics in mind as well, right? If we consolidate for another day or so, that should bring us down to this level. Perfect area to bounce from. So just keep that in mind. The MACD looks great. MACD is great. Nothing really to go off of there. It just looks great, but nothing really to go off of there. So that's fine. Daily time frame. Now this is when things start to get interesting. The daily MACD is crossing above the zero here. You can see the blue line is actually, you can barely see it, but it's crossed above the zero. We're looking for the orange line to cross above the zero now. I'm just curious here. Hold on real quick. No, okay. The RSI did get into the overbought zone. It's the deepest reading that you've seen in your RSI on a daily time frame. It's the deepest reading that we've seen since last year. That's pretty spectacular stuff, man. What happened last year? Let's just see what happened the last time they saw a reading this deep. Right? Let's go there. So the last time you saw a reading this deep, you were at the top and then you sold off, right? But so did the rest of the market. Right now, where the market here was at a high point and we sold off, the market here is actually at a low point, right? Typically, when you get these deep readings in the RSI, you actually get more growth. It's actually not common to do this, right? Maybe you're at a near high, but whenever you get this deep of a reading, you're at like an 85 or higher, you typically expect more growth. You form some bearish divergence, and then you sell off. This is only because the market was so bearish here because Donald Trump got inaugurated, talks of tariffs and all that stuff, right? People got bearish ahead of time who were smart and thinking about that and how the market would react. Maybe there were other reasons why you sold off as well beyond just that stuff, but I think Donald Trump overall is very positive for the markets. I think in the long term, there's going to be some very bullish effects from this. But in the beginning of his administration, beginning of his term, his most recent term, we definitely had a lot of fears in the markets, specifically around tariffs. Now we know tariffs are actually good for the economy. I think we knew that back then too. It just wasn't publicly accepted by economists like it is now. Anyways. Now it's just obvious. Now you can't. Now you're literally lying and denying the data if you think that it's not good, or at least the way that we're doing it is not good. Anyways, that's a whole different discussion. I'm not trying to get political. All I'm trying to say is different scenario here, right? We're at the bottom of the market. The average altcoin is down this month, right? We're at a low point here. We're not at a high point like we were last time. So I think this, again, what I was trying to say is it's not common to just top off here and then move down. You typically get multiple readings. I think that's what we're due for. I think we've got some strong, so I think we'll get a different reaction than what we saw here. Stochastics on a daily time frame look bullish as well. I don't like that you're rejecting the overbought zone, but that's okay. You can turn up still. It's fine. The MACD is, again, we're looking to cross above the zero. What's really exciting is when the orange line crosses above the zero. I mean, you could imagine here that maybe not tomorrow, Sunday, but the next day, Monday, Tuesday, sometime next week, we're going to be crossed above the zero with both these oscillators. That should push the price higher, right? It really should. Whenever you're in a good movement here. Like this, whenever we crossed above the zero back here, right? You crossed above, you were down below the zero. You weren't doing this kind of weird volatile stuff. You're actually like making a decision here. As soon as you crossed above the zero right here, that's whenever you got on with your bad self and started moving higher, right? Some of the move was already had by then, but you had more to go afterwards. And I do think, relative to this move, we've got more to go. Looking at the weekly time frame, very bullish on all fronts, okay? Very, very bullish on all fronts. Maybe the MACD is the only one that's bearish, but still some bullish stuff going on here nonetheless. Let's measure from last cycle's high to the bear market low. No. That was not the cycle high, was it? I'm sorry. It's not the cycle high. We'll measure it from this high. I think this high will be relevant. We'll take it from that high too, though, okay? High to low, tip to the 0.5. Typically, not always, but typically, if you hit the 0.5 and you fall back below the 382, you do expect to go to the 236, okay? Going back to what we were saying earlier, from a low here to a high, the 382 is at 257, 255, whatever it is, 255. We could go down. We could go a little bit lower. It is possible to go down to 222. I'm not expecting that personally, but it's something that we should keep our minds open to, is that we could drop down to about 220 to $2 itself. Okay, if that happens, Filecoin's not dead. It's just having an extreme reaction. And as crazy as it might seem, a 44% drop is normal when continuing higher in the crypto markets. It really is. But on a weekly time frame here, My expectation would be that this move overall, what do I mean by this move? I mean, like, if this was a low point here, the move didn't end here, did it? It stopped momentarily, but the move ended right here, right? So where's this move going to end? This move here from a low to a high, it ended up here. There were stopping points in between, volatility in between, but we stopped here. I think this move continues, it persists before we get any kind of multi-week consolidation, at least to the golden ratio, if not to the 786, 886. There's a very solid chance that we go to the 786, 886. I love the golden ratio. It's statistically the most probable outcome that we stop there. But if we look at the price, look at how often your highs here, right? That's a high right there. That's a high right there. There's highs that are just above, right all here. Look at how common this 886, 786 area is for resistance. It wouldn't make me surprised at all to find the price at 757 to $10 before this move saw any kind of multi-week consolidation. You know what I mean? Maybe we do just rip all the way up. But at any rate, regardless of where we go, we have a range, right? I think a very expectable range. Something between, you know, an 83% pump from here to potentially a 236% pump from here. Anything from $5.15 to $9.55. Something in that area. That's where I think we're going to go. If I had to guess, I feel confident enough to say that we will probably see something between about $7.60 to $9.50, somewhere in there. And if I'm right, that should happen potentially within the next week or two. Definitely by the end of November. Definitely by the end of November. Then we consolidate a little bit, and then December we can get ready to break out of this. Maybe by the end of December, by the end of the year, we're at 22 bucks or higher. Okay, that's Filecoin. Now let's talk about the sad stuff. Okay, let's do the hurt your feelings stuff, because that's all fun. That's all fun stuff. We're talking about the upside. It's great, right? Kicking off the right way, fun stuff. Let's talk about the sad stuff. Filecoin here on CoinMarketCap. Last cycle, right? I'm on the market. This is not the price. This is the price. Okay, this is the market cap. I find it really convenient that we're not measuring the market cap from the prior cycles before 2021. I find it very convenient that we're not seeing that, actually. It's kind of upsetting me, to be completely fair, but that's okay. Like, why not? Why don't we have all that data? Why do we have years worth of price action, but we don't have years worth of market cap? It's probably because it would make this chart look worse. It would drive home the point that I'm trying to drive home. The point that I'm trying to drive home is that last cycle, Filecoin topped off in April 2021. So in April of 2021, at the very peak here, that was April, that was a $11 billion market cap. You can see it there. It says $11 billion, okay? 10.9, whatever. That's great. That's fine. $11 billion is fine. But again, that was all the way up here, okay? $11 billion. Right now, we have a market cap of $2 billion. 2 billion times 5 equals 10 billion. So let's multiply it by 6 and give us 12 billion. That way, we're at a higher market cap than what we've seen here at our all-time highs. A 6x move, a 500% growth will get us there. So in other words, at 500%, at a 6x move, we are at a higher market cap here than we were at our all-time highs last cycle. So this is where I'm going to hurt your feelings, because a lot of people might think, oh my God, Filecoin has seen a $237 price. It's worth $2.82. That's almost a 100x. That's a no-brainer. What if it sees new all-time highs? I got 100x. What if it doesn't? What if it doesn't because it's been so diluted? Unfortunately, it's been so diluted, my friends. Look at how the market cap here is at a higher low than where you were back here in 2020, yet the price is at a lower low than here, right? The only way that that happens is when there's more tokens printed, okay? At the detriment of the investor, but not at the ecosystem, right? The ecosystem is thriving. They got $2 billion in valuation. They're thriving. They're successful. But if you're an investor, that hurts you when they distribute, whenever there's new tokens being circulated, added to the circulating supply, okay? You're about halfway, not even halfway, I'm sorry. You're about a third of a way to your total supply as far as total dilution goes in your circulating supply. That's pretty sad, right? Again, you're going to continue to unlock. These tokens will continue to unlock. And that will hurt the overall potential for what your cycle high can bring you, right? Now, with that being said, here in, September, in September of 2026, you will start to taper off your rate of inflation. But until then, it's just going to be at this continued pace, is what it looks like. What is this all? Simple minting. Okay, so minting, that's good. A lot of it's minting. Baseline minting. Okay, so it's just new tokens minting. People who are participating, mining, whatever it is in the DAO, I don't know, earning tokens through the ecosystem. That's great. That's great. Good for them. Fundraising, 24 months. That's here. Okay, good. That's a very small portion. Good. Yeah, these aren't, this isn't bad, but a lot of it does go to the team, but that's okay. All I'm trying to say here is that you've got a $2 billion market cap now. To see the all-time high in your market cap valuation from what it was here, you just have to be here now. Okay. Imagine we were to go to our all-time highs. You're going to see something on the lines of a 80x. 80x from $2 billion, you guys. It's 160 billion, am I right? Yeah, it's 160 billion dollars. It's a high market cap, man. 160 billion. Filecoin's capable of seeing it, but I have a hard time, man. I have a hard time imagining that personally. Not that it can't happen just because I can't imagine it, but the coins that are at a 100 billion or multi-$100 billion valuation by the end of the cycle, they're probably worth tens of billions of dollars now, right? They're not worth $2 billion. I do imagine that Filecoin will see a significant retracement. I do imagine that anybody investing in this coin will make some money. But the minimum target by the end of the cycle, the minimum target acceptable by the end of the cycle, is a $32 price. That is your golden ratio. And that does stop you right here where your all-time high was before, right here in an area that you got stopped out before, right above this resistance point here and at your golden ratio. That's an 11x from here. That's not life-changing wealth. I mean, 11x can change your life, don't get me wrong, but in crypto, we're looking for a 20x, 25x or more, right? I do think that Filecoin could see a 25x or more. I do think we could see a $77 to $140 price, but now we're kind of pushing the barrier for what I think the limitations are by the end of this cycle. We'll see how it goes, but I do believe Filecoin goes anywhere from $32 to $131. That's a big range, I know, but that's where we're thinking it goes by the end of the cycle. I do not believe it sees new all-time highs. I do not, and the simple reason is dilution. I've got nothing else for you guys. By the time Filecoin hits this level here at 17 bucks, right? It's already at new all-time highs in market cap valuation, right? So growing to these levels here, it's stupendously higher than the $10 billion, $11 billion market cap you had back here, which is just that unfortunately hurts the investor. It doesn't hurt the project when they dilute. It just hurts the investor. So that's just my thoughts. With that being said, I think this coin can outperform the average coin in this market. I do think you stand a solid chance of doing so, but we'll see how it goes. I wouldn't be surprised if you topped off around 100 bucks by the end of the cycle. I've got nothing else. I've talked enough, so hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.